Welcome to your Week in Review here on WINN FM 98.9 for the period August 18th through 23rd. Making the news last week,
Cleon Stapleton Simmons attributes public outrage over special sustainability zones and Nevis Southlands to lack of education and information.
St. Kitts and Nevis illustrates good governance and rule of law legislative reforms at OAS regular meeting. Disaster management official explore profound role of social services in dissection of Hurricane Beryl recovery.
Lux Carnival unveils costumes inspired by the blossoms of varying nations.
Sleep, the unsung hero of health in a hustle culture.
A vibrant schedule of activities organized to mark the 42nd celebration of St. Kitts and Nevis's independence. NRP leader voices concerns over Special Sustainability Zones Authorization Bill 2025, rejects forced land acquisition.
Ajani Hodge represents St. Kitts and Nevis at the 16th Regional Conference on Women in Latin America and the Caribbean. Now the details.
Opposition member of the Nevis Island Assembly, Cleon Stapleton Simmons, suggested that much of the public outrage surrounding the Special Sustainability Zone and the soliciting of lands in the south of Nevis stems from a lack of education and proper information. During her August 19 appearance on Talk That Gets Results, the MP explained that perhaps many residents do not fully understand the concept, leading to anxiety and uneasiness.
I would perhaps say uneasiness about the whole idea of the special sustainability zone and the whole land issue. And I think what is perhaps causing that anxiety and somewhat uneasiness is lack of awareness and perhaps lack of education. So I think we don't know a lot about what's taking place on the south side. We don't know the intentions. What we do know is that there have been a number of persons who own land, and I must say that the majority of the lands in that particular area in the vicinity from Long Point to Saddle Hill, they are privately owned lands, and we know that a number of persons have been approached by different persons and made offers to sell their land. And so the question then become, well, why? Why should I sell my land? You know, what is taking place? What is happening?
Some people are viewing the special sustainability zones as exclusive areas that do not benefit locals. According to Stapleton Simmons, while people are raising questions, much of the backlash could be addressed if government officials provided clear, accessible explanations about the objectives and potential benefits of the initiative.
I think a lot of times we see a lot of movements taking place in Nevis, and a lot of it is just somewhat hearsay, shoo-shoo, but the powers that be not really coming out and addressing the issue or making the public aware as to what are the intentions, if it is that we have investors who are interested in developing the southern side of the island, and perhaps, you know, there should be greater awareness to the public by way of information as to what are the intentions, what are the plans. And with the lack of that, the lack of information, it creates anxiety. It put people, you know, make people uneasy. It gives them discomfort because, of course, everyone wants to know, and that is the big question, you know, what is taking place.
Quite a number of people have echoed similar sentiments, noting that residents feel left out of the discussion. The issue remains a point of contention as the government of St. Kitts and Nevis passed the Special Sustainability Zone Authorization Bill 2025 on August 11.
Last week, the federal government in the National Parliament passed a piece of legislation. I think there has been discussions in Parliament as well as in the public arena pertaining to the sustainability agenda, the development goals, and the government trying to achieve the goal of getting to a sustainable state. And so this is part, I believe, of that broader agenda where we are now looking at putting some legislative framework in place when it comes to dealing with resources, and especially economic resources, and land is one of the major economic resources, because of course we all know we cannot have any development without actually having land, access to land. And so I believe that one of the issues are what perhaps would have been more meaningful is if the government, the stakeholders, perhaps investors, persons from the private sector who has an interest in these particular developments, if there were some education beforehand, just to educate people and give them that sense of awareness as to the intentions of any development that is likely to take place in the future.
Premier of Nevis Mark Brantley declared publicly that he has no formal proposal from any investor to develop the lands in the south, but the parliamentarian said she believes an informal discussion was had.
The Premier, as Naya has said, indicated that he has not had any formal proposal from any investor who has any desire or intention to put any project in that particular area. But again, despite his comments, I note that he used the word formal, but I believe that there has been perhaps some informal discussions, and that is the reason why we are seeing this particular activity taking place, where a number of persons are being approached to purchase land.
While the bill provides that special sustainability zones will attract investment and create jobs, opponents stress that without proper transparency, it will continue to face resistance from a skeptical public.
St. Kitts and Nevis has proactively strengthened its commitment to the rule of law and good governance, a testament to its dedication to fostering a transparent and accountable public sector. Augustine Skerritt, Minister Counselor and alternate representative to the Organization of American States, OAS, articulated the Federation's progressive legislative agenda at the August 20th, 2025 regular meeting, where discussions centered on rule of law and good governance in the Americas, a stronger role for the private sector. His address detailed a robust framework designed to combat corruption, ensure accountability among leaders, and protect the integrity of the judicial system, thereby setting a strong example for regional governance. The core of St. Kitts and Nevis' strategy lies in its series of meticulously crafted legislative acts aimed at deterring and punishing illicit activities within high office.
In this regard, legislation has been enacted to ensure that our leaders are held accountable and are therefore deterred from illicit activities in high office. An example of this is the passing of the Integrity in Public Life Amendment Act of 2023. This act mandates that the holders of high offices must declare their assets by April 30 of every year. In this way, unexplained enrichment can be investigated and addressed according to relevant laws.
Complementing this, the Proceeds of Crime and Asset Recovery Act of 2020 further empowers the state to act, providing
for the forfeiture or confiscation of proceeds of crime. The Act provides for confiscation of tainted property and gives the court the authority to grant unexplained wealth orders. An unexplained wealth order may be granted against a politically exposed person where there are reasonable grounds for suspecting that that person's known sources of lawfully obtained income would have been insufficient to enable him or her to obtain the property.
This dual approach ensures both proactive disclosure and reactive investigative capabilities. Further reinforcing this legislative foundation are critical acts designed to protect whistleblowers and safeguard judicial processes.
To strengthen the functionality of these bits of legislation, the Whistleblowers Act of 2023 came into force in December of that year. A whistleblower is defined as any public officer who personally is aware of corrupt conduct or improper conduct and who intends to make or actually makes a disclosure of such conduct to a disclosure receiving authority. The disclosure receiving authorities are identified as the chairpersons of Integrity Commission, Special Prosecutor, Director of Public Prosecutions, Ombudsman, Chief Medical Officer, or any other person that the Minister may prescribe. The Act also allows for anonymous disclosures. These, Chair and colleagues, along with the Justice Interference Prevention Act of 2024, serve to strengthen the rule of law in St. Kitts and Nevis. This law, better known as the Witness Protection Law, makes it an offense to intimidate, harass, or even attempt to bribe witnesses to criminal activity.
These comprehensive measures collectively demonstrate St. Kitts and Nevis's unwavering dedication to cultivating a governance environment characterized by integrity, transparency, and a strong rule of law. The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, of St. Kitts and Nevis, on a recent edition of From Danger to Safety, focused intensely on lessons from Hurricane Beryl, the critical role of social services. The discussion illuminated the multifaceted and indispensable contributions of social services in both immediate disaster response and long-term recovery efforts, extending beyond the provision of basic necessities to encompass crucial psychosocial support and the arduous task of community rebuilding. The dialogue underscored the imperative for integrated strategies that prioritize human well-being alongside physical infrastructure restoration. Chrissy Warm-Charles, Grenada's Director of Social Development, offered a raw and insightful personal and professional reflection on the widespread devastation wrought by Hurricane Beryl across Carriacou and Petite Martinique. She detailed the profound impact on communities and elaborated on the pivotal role her team played in the subsequent recovery.
Okay, so Hurricane Beryl placed us in a precarious position in some ways, right? Personally, it affected me in relation to, remembering the different disasters and so forth that has passed through Grenada. So more or less the residual impression of COVID-19, right? In terms of our country's response to crisis and disaster management. So that was on the forefront of my mind. But at the same time, one has to center themselves and look at the particular situation and do the necessaries to ensure that the proper interventions are made. So to a certain extent, I was a bit nervous. But I think that was expected in relation to any disasters or so forth. Knowing what would have happened to Grenada in 2004 and 2005. So I was a bit apprehensive. But nonetheless, was able to ride the storm.
Warm-Charles articulated the dual responsibilities she and her team held, shifting seamlessly between leadership and frontline social work.
My role really was to lead the ministry in different spaces, and also too, all boots literally was on the ground. Right, so yes, I was the director for social development, but most importantly, I was a part of the human service organization. So I had to revert to certain roles as being a social worker too as well, providing that type of support where it needs to be, and also in developing programs to ensure that the people of Carriacou and Petite Martinique and the northern part of the country received the necessary support that they have to, so that they can, return to happiness and, basically return to normalcy as much as they can.
The director further elaborated on the vital impact of direct economic interventions such as cash transfers.
Yes, we provided immediate cash transfer to people. So now they had the economic power, right, to purchase whatever is necessary, just, to sustain them for that brief period, that relief. So we saw that direct impact, people having that spending power to access the necessary goods, to provide a proper meal for themselves and even to administer some of the medical protocol. That was critical because in Carriacou, access to cash was a little bit limited because the banks and so forth were down.
Warm-Charles also candidly addressed the significant psychological toll of the disaster.
There were some challenges. I think trauma affects so many different people. So for example, some of our clients in Carriacou, they were affected tremendously. They were traumatized, and it took them a little while to rebound and to come back to normalcy. And even our caregivers, oftentimes we place a lot of emphasis on the people who are most affected and not necessarily the professionals, right? But we saw that in Carriacou, the professionals really took, a hit, right? And it was a challenge. Developing strong social protection systems that factor in that key component, providing care for the carers.
She concluded by emphasizing emerging opportunities and the critical importance of regional solidarity.
So it's good opportunities too as well as we move together as a nation and as a region towards our responses towards disasters. Lessons learned, the gaps that we have experienced, as a ministry in terms of providing adequate support in a timely manner, and so forth. Those are good lessons. And as I said before, government would have taken necessary initiative in expanding some of our human resources. Small but sure steps, because we have to be conscious that we work within a fiscal space that is limited, right? So those are lessons learned, but we have also seen action coming out of those lessons. So it's not just only a talk shop, right? But it's actually translated into human service growth, and also too within the region, to just the same. Lessons learned. Caribbean people standing together, rising together, learning from the lessons that Grenada probably would have experienced, the gaps that Grenada would have experienced. So therefore, when they're building the social protection system, it's supposed to be building back better. Why? Because of the lessons learned and the challenges. So it really, to me, it's part of an entire picture, the entire scope of our experiences, not just limited to Grenada, but it extends to the Caribbean. So you're not reinventing the wheel, right, when it comes to disaster response. So lesson well learned, opportunity well presented, and together as a society and a community, we shall grow.
This comprehensive approach highlights the profound commitment to not only rebuilding, but also strengthening societal resilience through dedicated social services.
One of St. Kitts' leading carnival troupes, Lux Carnival, officially launched its costumes for Sugar Mass 54. Eager supporters and revelers hugged Lux Carnival's Facebook page to get a glimpse of what the troupe would bring to the streets on January 1, 2026. The presentation featured models showcasing elaborate designs inspired by the theme Garden of Nations, a floral tapestry. From vibrant feathers to floral motifs, each design draws inspiration from blossoms synonymous with varying countries. Lux introduced the costume Strelitzia, bird of paradise, as a proud symbol of South Africa's natural splendor. Known also as the crane flower, its bold orange and blue blossoms unfurl like a tropical bird in flight. Strelitzia mirrors the essence of South Africa itself, vibrant, diverse, and enduring. Its radiant bloom is seen as a sign of freedom and resilience, a fitting tribute to a nation that thrives in both strength and beauty. The jade vine from the Philippines was transformed into wearable art. Lux said it claims a forest canopy with bold, jewel-toned flowers that demand both attention and admiration. Admired for its striking turquoise blooms, the vine symbolizes extraordinary allure and rare elegance, making it a perfect tribute to moments that celebrate uniqueness and wonder. Born in the lush rainforests of the Philippines, it captivates all who encounter it, a living treasure of surreal beauty. The grand reveal also paid a tribute to the sakura cherry blossom from Japan. Quote, across Japan's springtime skies, sakura spills soft pink and white petals like drifting silk, a fleeting celebration of life and renewal, Lux noted. Additionally, Lux Carnival received an enthusiastic response to the reveal of Royal Poinciana, with many praising the originality and boldness of the design. Spectators were particularly impressed by the attention to detail, with the floral arrangements depicting the national flower of St. Kitts and Nevis. Several individuals commented that the costume is beautiful and is on fire. Speaking about the costume, Lux said, quote, its fiery red and orange blossoms symbolize vibrancy, strength, and resilience, mirroring the energy and spirit of the Kittitian people, unquote. Also introduced for the first time was the Lux Carnival men's bacchanal wear, accompanied by the Lux Carnival Femi bacchanal wear. Lux said they were, quote, billed for the kings of the road and the queens who refused to blend in. This garden-inspired bacchanal wear bursts with bold energy, vibrant color, and effortless movement. Whether you're repping with your crew or vibing with your boo, the road is yours. No holding back, no slowing down, unquote. Purple Rain and the Solar Rush also formed a part of Lux Carnival's costume reveal, each capturing both elegance and energy, while still allowing comfort for revelers during the long hours of parading. Each year, troop leaders aim to ensure that their costumes stand out during the Grand Parade, are elaborate in structure, tailored for comfort, and enable participants to parade for hours with ease. Inclusivity continues to be a priority, with troops offering variations to suit different sizes and preferences, while maintaining the theme's visual impact. The Grand Parade of Troops for Sugar Mass 54 was scheduled for January 1, 2026, whilst last lap was slated for January 2, 2026.
The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force is investigating drug and weapon contraband that were recovered in the Lower Monkey Hill area of St. Peter's, St. Kitts. During a routine search of a vacant lot conducted by the Anti-Narcotics Unit on August 15, 2025, the officers recovered one 9mm pistol with 5 matching rounds of ammunition and 1 kilogram of cocaine. No one has been arrested or held accountable for the items. More on this as information becomes available. The police is appealing to anyone who may have information on this find to contact their nearest police station or the Crime Stoppers hotline at 707. In today's relentlessly accelerating world, the concept of hustle culture frequently champions constant activity and minimal rest, inadvertently casting sleep as a secondary concern and indulgence rather than a foundational element of well-being. This pervasive societal attitude, however, deeply contradicts the biological imperatives of the human body. A recent illuminating discussion on WINN's Island Tea broadcast on August 19, 2025 featured Dr. Natalie Osborne, a general surgeon in St. Kitts and Nevis, on Weekly Dose, who meticulously dismantled this misconception, providing an extensive and critical analysis of sleep's profound yet often overlooked importance. Dr. Osborne incisively pinpointed a pervasive cultural misjudgment.
Think society and in that world of going after it, go and get it, and the hustle, people have made it seem shameful also to sleep. Oh, if you're sleeping, it means that you're not getting it, you're not doing enough.
This pervasive narrative, she further elaborated, often prompts individuals to openly declare their minimal sleep habits, utterly unaware of the severe and cascading adverse effects that sleep deprivation inflicts upon their comprehensive physical, mental, and emotional health. Understanding the precise amount of sleep required, appreciating the multifaceted benefits of sufficient rest, recognizing the dire consequences of sleep deprivation, and implementing effective strategies to secure adequate sleep are all pivotal steps in reprioritizing this essential non-negotiable aspect of daily human existence. Dr. Osborne meticulously elaborated on the intricate and indispensable restorative functions of sleep.
So sleep is a natural, reversible state of rest. So the body and the brain slows down all of its function. What it does when it do that, it allows for restoration, repair, and processing of information. So this is a biological process that the brain, and we've heard about the circadian rhythm, so it's regulated by the circadian rhythm. So that's a natural clock in us that tells us we need to sleep, wake, and it is oftentimes, if we stay too long awake, we know that we've got to get some sleep because the body is out of its normal process.
She emphatically underscored that during the various stages of sleep, the body dynamically engages in crucial activities such as repairing cellular tissues, meticulously building and fortifying muscle mass, and robustly strengthening the immune system. Specifically, during the profound deep sleep phases, the body undergoes a significant release of growth hormones, which are absolutely essential for cellular regeneration and overall physical growth. This biological imperative, Dr. Osborne noted, is precisely why medical professionals frequently advise athletes and individuals recovering from injuries to rigorously prioritize sleep, acknowledging its status as a paramount component of their recovery and rehabilitation processes. Cognitively, sleep assumes an equally pivotal role in the consolidation of memories, the assimilation of new learning, and the efficacy of problem-solving abilities. During these nocturnal periods of rest, the brain actively processes the voluminous information accumulated throughout the waking day, systematically organizes memories, and profoundly strengthens neural connections. This intricate neurological orchestration is undeniably crucial for the effective retention of newly acquired information and for consistently achieving high performance in tasks that demand intense focus, critical thinking, and complex cognitive processing. Dr. Osborne vividly illustrated this brain function.
So while you sleep, your brain is reorganizing and categorizing, putting in different categories your memories and, packing the shelves. They say it's almost like sorting books in a library. So your brain is doing that while you're resting.
Emotionally, sufficient sleep is intrinsically linked to enhanced mood regulation and a heightened resilience to daily stressors. Well-rested individuals are demonstratively better equipped to navigate the complexities and challenges of daily life, maintain healthier and more positive interpersonal relationships, and experience a marked reduction in disruptive mood swings. Conversely, consistent poor sleep quality can precipitously lead to heightened irritability, increased levels of anxiety, and an alarmingly elevated risk of developing clinical depression. The ramification of sleep deprivation, whether it manifests as an acute short-term deficit or a chronic long-term condition, are demonstrably extensive and profoundly detrimental to overall health. Dr. Osborne detailed how even short-term lack of sleep severely impairs cognitive function, manifesting as significant difficulties with concentration, compromised decision-making capabilities, and noticeably slower reaction times.
Poor sleep habits can lead to psychiatric conditions. It is linked to psychiatric condition. Persons become depressed, persons become anxious, persons can even have psychosis, okay, where you're having hallucination, paranoia, and disorder in your thinking. So if you do not have enough sleep, you have different activities or different changes going on at a level of the cells in the brain, and that creates certain anxiety, that creates depression, and you're not functioning as you should in your workplace. And it can affect your stress levels. You can see sometimes you start snapping more at the children, snapping more at your co-workers because what? You didn't get enough sleep, you're not you're at your best.
Delving into the more severe long-term consequences, Dr. Osborne highlighted that chronic sleep deprivation is strongly correlated with a host of severe health issues.
It can lead to long-term anxiety and depression. It can lead to substance abuse in persons who try to self-medicate to counteract some of these symptoms that they're feeling. And it can lead to dementia. They speak about dementia, all the factors that can lead to dementia as we get older because you do not have enough sleep. And dementia is simply that your cognitive or your mental concentration and capacity decreases. And most of us would have seen persons as they get older, they have some form of dementia.
Furthermore, persistent sleep deprivation critically weakens the immune system, rendering the body significantly more susceptible to a wide array of infections and delaying recovery times. Beyond physical ailments, chronic sleep loss is intricately linked to an exacerbation of mental health disorders, including heightened anxiety and clinical depression, as well as accelerated rate of cognitive decline and an elevated risk of developing neurodegenerative diseases, most notably Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Osborne passionately advised against perceiving sleep as a non-essential luxury, unequivocally emphasizing the critical imperative to prioritize it for achieving and maintaining optimal health, sustained performance across all life domains, and long-term well-being.
The importance of sleep is real, and it affects us even in every performance that we do.
The sentiment underscores sleep's non-negotiable status in the pursuit of a healthy and productive life.
The Federation's 42nd independence is fast approaching, and the government officially unveiled the calendar of events designed to mark this year's occasion. The schedule outlines a diverse showcase of music, dance, traditional foods, sports, lectures, and academic activities aimed at uniting citizens in a patriotic spirit while highlighting the country's achievements and showcasing the vibrancy of the national heritage. The activities run from August 1 to October 26, 2025. Among the flagship events are the Grand Independence Ceremonial Parade on September 19, 2025, the Governor General's Cocktail on September 18, a National Service of Gratitude and Concert on September 14, and the Prime Minister's Lecture Series on September 9, 2025. This year's observances will have a whole of society involvement, with the schools, community groups, the youth, the elderly, and people with disabilities all getting an opportunity to contribute to the 42nd Independence celebrations. Some of the upcoming events on the calendar are Gender Affairs Independence Sporting Competition, September 6, Gender Affairs Grill Master Competition, September 7, A Night with DJ Taro and EBJ Harmonics, Kaleidoscope, September 18, Charleston Secondary School's 75th Anniversary Production, September 20, Drill Competition, September 26, and A Night of Dance, October 26. Citizens are being encouraged to wear national colors, join in the festivities, and come together in a true show of patriotism. Flag Colors Day kicks off on August 29 with the color green, September 5, red, September 12, yellow, September 19, white, and September 26, Black. The guiding theme, Perpetual Progress, A Sustainable Future in View, Independence 42, is about reflection, acknowledging the struggles and sacrifices that paved the way to nationhood, while also focusing on the vision for continued growth, economic resilience, and sustainability. The government attained independence on September 19, 1983. The debate over Special Sustainability Zones, the SSZ, also referred to as Special Economic Zones, intensified over the past week, following the passage of the Special Sustainability Zone Authorization Bill 2025 in the St. Kitts and Nevis National Assembly. The bill, passed on August 11, 2025, would allow legally designated areas where developers commit to strict sustainability, climate resilience, and infrastructure standards, while the government provides conditions, transparent rules, and robust democratic oversight, according to the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service. For months, reports had been made that a real estate company on the island of Nevis was approaching owners of land on the southern side of Nevis from Long Point to Saddle Hill, striking deals to purchase their lands, though their lands were not advertised for sale. Some landowners also reported that in trying to acquire documents from the land registry for the same lands they were being approached about, they were unsuccessful, leaving them to question, how does the realtor know who to approach about the lands if documentation cannot be found at the land registry, unquote. With the speculation that lands on the southern side of Nevis would be utilized as a special sustainability zone, the Nevis Reformation Party continued to weigh the long-term implications. The Nevis Reformation Party leader, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, issued a statement on the matter on Monday night, August 18, during Your Voice with the NRP, highlighting that the Special Sustainability Zone Authorization Bill 2025 takes land control power away from the Premier of Nevis and also allows for lands to be taken away from Nevisians without their permission.
Now, let me say at the outset, there is nothing wrong with a realtor approaching landowners to purchase land, and there is nothing wrong with a landowner selling their land if that is what they want to do. However, no one has the right to harass you or force you into selling your land if you do not want to do so. In recent months, serious questions have been raised about whether there is a plot being hatched behind closed doors and in a shroud of secrecy to force landowners on the southern side of Nevis to sell their property. Landowners must be aware that with the Special Sustainability Zone legislation passed in the National Assembly last week, if the Premier and the Prime Minister designate lands on the southern side of Nevis as a special sustainability zone, your land may be deemed as needed for a public good and taken without your permission. That is deeply troubling, and even more so because of the lengths to which the Premier is willing to go to acquire people's lands. In addition to providing the means by which the Premier can acquire people's land, the SSZ legislation gives the Prime Minister the authority to approve or disapprove special sustainability zones in Nevis, each with a minimum of 500 acres. But why should the Prime Minister hold such authority when our Constitution makes it clear that Nevis has the right to control its own lands? Why has the Premier surrendered this power, just as he did with our natural resources, such as geothermal? What concessions have been made? What deals have been struck in secret? I do believe that time will reveal.
The NRP leader voiced a strong opposition against the lands being taken away from Nevisians to develop special sustainability zones, explaining that the policy prioritizes the interests of investors over the rights of local citizens, which she does not support.
In the meantime, however, I must say loudly and clearly that I am not in support of any plan to give up our people's lands, whether to domestic or foreign investors, to develop Nevis in a way that shuts out Nevisians. Some estimate that as much as 6 square miles on the southern side of Nevis is under threat to be included under the deceptive Special Sustainability Zone legislation. Imagine special sustainability zones in Nevis with their own brand new hospitals, brand new schools, police stations, and power grid, while the Premier cannot complete a hospital that has been under construction for 8 years to benefit the people of Nevis. He cannot secure proper facilities for our police and firemen. He cannot stabilize our electricity, and he cannot build a community college for our young people. I am completely against development plans on Nevis, where a few will be enriched at the expense of the Nevisian people, where the Nevisian people continue to struggle and are not elevated. I quote the late Right Excellent Dr. Sir Simeon Daniel, my father, who said, "If growth in the economy only benefits a tiny, wealthy minority, whether domestic or foreign, it is not true development."
Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge concluded that land ownership, hard work, and self-determination are the hallmarks of the Nevisian people, and she will not sit idly by and see Nevisians being forced out of their lands. Quote, "If we must fight, that is what we will do with every fiber of our beings, in honor of those before us who sacrificed, and in honor of our future generations, for whom we must preserve our Nevisian heritage," Dr. Daniel Hodge further stated. The government maintained that the special economic zones are crucial for attracting new investments and creating jobs, adding that the law allows the Premier of Nevis and the Nevis Island Administration to retain full authority over development matters in Nevis. An article published by the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service says, quote, "The law clearly stipulates that any development proposed for Nevis must receive the explicit approval of the Premier and the Nevis Island Administration before it can proceed. The federal government will not move forward with any development on the island of Nevis without this approval." The exact provision in the amended act reads as follows: where the area is within the island of Nevis, A, the Prime Minister shall consult with the Nevis Island Administration before entering into development agreements. B, should the Nevis Island Administration approve, the Nevis Island Administration shall be a party to any such development agreements. And C, no development agreement shall be entered into without the prior approval of the Nevis Island Administration. The amendment makes it abundantly clear that the Nevis Island Administration retains full authority over development matters in Nevis, ensuring that the constitutional rights and governance structures of the island are respected at all times. The Special Sustainability Zone Authorization Bill 2025 is landmark legislation that establishes a clear, accountable framework to attract high-quality foreign direct investment, diversify the national economy, and generate long-term job opportunities while safeguarding the Federation's environment and sovereignty, unquote. With both sides standing firm, the matter is shaping up to be a major point of contention in national economic policy discussions.
Ajni Hodge, a 15-year-old from St. Kitts and Nevis, powerfully represented the voices of over 56,000 children, girls, and adolescents from the Latin America and Caribbean region at the 16th Regional Conference on Women. Her compelling address on the final day of the conference underscored the critical need for young people's perspectives to be not only acknowledged, but actively integrated into decision-making processes. Hodge's participation served as a beacon for the countless adolescent girls in the Eastern Caribbean and beyond, advocating for their inclusion and a more equitable future. During her address, Hodge made a resolute call for the dismantling of pervasive gender stereotypes that hinder the progress of young people. She emphasized the importance of genuine inclusion of adolescents in policy formulation, advocating for a future where all individuals, regardless of gender, have the opportunity to thrive. Her advocacy is rooted in a deep understanding of the challenges faced by young people, particularly girls in the Eastern Caribbean, and she has been actively involved in proposing solutions to these pressing issues.
Let me tell you about a 15-year-old girl. She wakes up at 5 a.m. to change diapers, breastfeed her baby, cook, clean, and get her siblings ready for school. While her mother leaves early, the only breadwinner in their home. By the time she leaves for school, she's already done a full day's work, and yet she still holds tightly to her hopes for a better future. Myself and over 56,000 adolescents created a list of proposals to transform care and our future. These are more than just requests. They are demands born out of lived reality. They are calls for justice, for dignity, and for action. Because real change cannot happen without us, and it cannot wait. Take our words serious. Include us. The future we are fighting for begins with the choices we make today. El cuidado es justo. El futuro es nuestro.
Hodges' message resonated deeply with the urgent reality that many girls are deprived of educational and developmental opportunities due to the disproportionate burden of unpaid care work. She highlighted that, on average, adolescent girls spend approximately 7 more hours each day on domestic and caregiving responsibilities than boys. This valuable time, which could otherwise be dedicated to education, recreation, and personal growth, underscores the systemic inequalities that prevent girls from reaching their full potential. Ajani's powerful advocacy serves as a potent reminder that fostering change is not only achievable, but an immediate necessity to ensure every child's right to be heard and to have an equal chance at success. Ajani's voice is a powerful reminder that change is both possible and urgent. You were listening to the Week in Review here on WINN FM 98.9. Thank you for listening and have a productive week.